All of my decisions, all of my choices in life, they are inconsequential. I keep ending up in the same room.
Yeah, we're back in this room.
Here we are again. Did we ever leave?
I don't think Oh, look, that's us.
That's us. Okay,
we are live.
Here, I'm gonna mute this.
Mute that. Hey, everybody.
Okay, hi. There's doesn't guess anybody here yet, so that's fine.
Not yet.
Oh, there's two people.
Oh, hi.
Couple people here. Hello.
Hi. Hello. You know us. We're your favorite kid spies.
Kid spies.
Broadcasting from inside of a volcano. We've got like a cool like fire and ice thing going on right now. So
yeah, I said this was a little bit of a Shark Boy and Lava Girl moment, which we're just running with. We're just rolling with
that's
that.
what we are.
Later
that's what's going on. Yeah. Oh, things took a turn.
I hear that they're making another movie where they're going to appear. There's another they're going to be like side characters. They don't even have like words, but
like that.
They don't have words. Yeah.
So we're super spies. Hello, if you just tuned in.
Our very clever cover is hosting an alcohol podcast.
Yes, they'll never suspect us.
No. Especially if we broadcast it on YouTube.
No.
Throwing you off our track.
We'll never see a thing.
You should pull us up on
that,
right?
I wanted to. I thought it usually just comes up. It's usually just like, wouldn't you like to watch this? And I'm like, yes, I'd like to see my own face. Thank you. I would.
It's like maybe you don't feel like it today. Who knows? I don't always feel like looking at myself.
Yeah, there it is. And I muted it so that I don't have to listen to my voice.
The worst part.
It's a weird phenomenon. There's got to be a name for that.
Not only hearing your own voice.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that the reason why. Did you tell me this? Somebody told me that the reason why people don't like to hear their own voice is because your skull creates bass.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Our voices are a lot higher pitched out loud.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think you did tell me that.
Did I, maybe?
Well, someone did.
I don't know. I hate the sound of my own voice, but I also think that's more like a kind of a dysphoria thing. But it's also just lots of people feel that way about their voices.
Yeah, it's strange to hear it outside of your head. Hey guys.
I feel like I sound like a little chipmunk,
No,
a little
definitely
chipmunk.
not.
Just a blue-haired chipmunk.
Oh, that would be a cool spin-off.
Blue-haired chipmunk?
Yeah.
That's a cool rescue ranger.
Yeah.
Chip, Dale, and Zeke.
Ooh.
I don't know.
I like
spitballing here, Disney. I know you're watching.
They're always watching.
Oh, that's actually true. They are always watching. All right, so you couldn't tell by our shirts. It's Tiki week. It's Tiki week.
We did tropical themes.
Yes, tropical, which is what we. It's a two-part podcast. The first part we're just giving you some of the history. The second part we're going to go into sort of the cultural impact and awareness around Tiki. So, that's a conversation to be had.
Yes, absolutely. But so yours is birds and mine is bugs.
Birds and bugs. Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
I love birds and bugs.
Yeah. Oh, thank goodness there's a scientist in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you, Lauren.
Yes. All right. So, so we're going to be making two classic Tiki cocktails today. And that is going to be the zombie and the Mai Tai. There's a lot of ingredients here. As you can see, we're kind of overwhelmed with bottles on this table.
And I will say this. So the recipe for the zombie and the Mai Tai, really, you'll come across a lot of variety in them. So we picked ones that I think, I actually picked some of the simpler recipes. And for the zombie, I tried to pick the one that is probably closest to what the original zombie was. But
who knows?
Yeah, there's a lot of variation out there. They're made a lot of different ways. So we're going to show you one way to make a zombie, one way to make a Mai Tai. If you come across another way at a bar, they're not necessarily wrong. These are just drinks that have kind of a well-documented history of being all over the place.
Yes. That's fair. Yeah.
All right, so should we get right into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
What should we make first?
Well, I thought we'd start with the zombie because it's a little older than the Mai Tai. And also, once we make it, we can get like 2/3 of these bottles off the table.
That's a good point.
All right.
Let's go for it.
All right. So shaker. Right. That's
Yes. It's here somewhere. They're all here somewhere.
all right. So the zombie is based on a blend of rum. It's usually Jamaican rum, Puerto Rican rum, and then some sort of like overproof like Demerara rum. It has a Pernod or an absinthe aspect to it. It's got falernum, which is that spiced like almond and almond, nutmeg, and lime syrup that we've talked about before. It's got Don's mix, which is a mixture of cinnamon syrup and white grapefruit juice. And it's got grenadine, which is pomegranate juice and rose water, sugar. And then it's also got lime juice and Angostura bitters. So there's a lot in this drink.
Yes.
And a lot of these proportions are like teaspoon, dash, half ounce, quarter ounce. There's a lot of small proportions in this. I'll be honest, years ago I worked at a bar where we made zombies this way. And I have not made one since because a lot of these ingredients, they're not standard cocktail bar ingredients. They're fun things to make and like make some cocktails with one of them, but this one has a lot. Don's mix, orgeat, falernum, grenadine. These are all specialty syrups that are usually they're pretty time consuming to make. So
Right.
let's just get into it.
Let's get into it.
All right. So
what's the rum we're gonna use?
I'm gonna use, so for my 3 rums, I kind of pulled out all of the rums I had, and we're gonna just divvy them up between these 2 drinks. So I think for this one, I'm gonna use the Havana Club, the Puerto Rican rum. I'm gonna use some Ray and Nephew, and then I'm gonna use some Appleton Estate blended Jamaican rum. So I'm gonna use these 3 rums.
Cool.
Yeah. And let's see.
All right.
I'm gonna be making 2 of these too. Look at these specs. There's a lot of booze going on.
Yeah, there are. I want to help you like try to make some room for you.
Yeah.
But making this drink will make the room.
Per drink, there's 1.5 ounces of our Jamaican rum.
Okay.
I'm gonna put that on the shelf.
Yes.
I'm just gonna hand these over to you.
I think that's wise.
1.5 ounces of our. I need my Puerto Rican rum. My Havana Club.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. 1.5 ounces of this guy too. Oh. All the different caps. Going crazy. All right.
I've been away from the fold too long. I don't know how to use my hands anymore.
That's a mystery.
I'm in 1 ounce for each drink. So I'm using 2 ounces, but it's 1 ounce each of our. I'm using Ray and Nephew's. It's my overproof rum. It's not really like a Demerara rum, but this is one of my favorites. It's just kind of funky, weird banana fire flavor.
Yeah, I can smell it.
And it's 63% alcohol by volume. So this stuff will light on fire very easily. Careful with that. All right.
Great.
I like that the ingredient on this is the recipe I'm following is there's 13 1/100ths teaspoon of herb saint or Pernod. I'm just going to use a bar spoon of Pernod.
Okay.
I would say a couple dashes of absinthe or Pernod would be. I've also seen this.
Reasonable.
Yeah, I've seen this floated on top of a zombie and set on fire too.
Fun.
So you can do that as some flair, or you could rinse your glass in it. I'm just gonna put it in there because I kind of want to make this simple-ish. So,
as simple as it could be.
Yeah, we're just gonna put a little dash in there.
Yes. Is this a Don the Beachcomber drink? Yes and no. Who really? It is.
This is the one that's supposedly closest to what Don made. So this is the big question, the big mystery. Well, there were many mysteries in what Don did, but the Don's mix, that was one of those ingredients that when people cracked that, they felt like they uncovered a big secret that Don had. Mm-hmm. That classic mix of grapefruit juice, white grapefruit juice specifically. That's hard to find. I made mine with pink grapefruit juice because that's all I could get my hands on, but it should be a white grapefruit juice and cinnamon syrup. And I mean, it's a great ingredient, but that was sort of one of those pieces that if you look at a lot of older zombie recipes, people sub in a lot of fruit liqueurs there trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah.
And that's supposedly like from one of his journals that I think was it was a younger family member like in the Dawn Beach lineage that had some evidence to what is in Dawn's mix. But
all right. Yeah.
So
because if you hadn't had a chance to listen to part 1 of this Tiki series, then you might not be aware that he was very secretive of the ingredients that he used. So he would label bottles as like numbers or letters and just tell the people making the drinks, the bartenders, use 2 ounces of bottle B or whatever, So a lot of people did. It was a mystery for a while of what was in these drinks.
Smart way of keeping your stuff secret, but definitely once people started writing stuff down and taking credit for recipes, that's really what happened to Don. Is you had people that were publishing cocktail books with his drinks in them, and because he'd never recorded them, he couldn't really prove his ownership of the drinks.
That's unfortunate.
So I just put a half an ounce of falernum in for each drink. All right, and then
does this one use Orgeat?
Orgeat is in the Mai
Tai. Okay, that's for later.
Orgeat and falernum are very similar. Falernum is kind of the spicy cousin of Orgeat.
Okay.
So I have on each. This is my Dawn's mix. So this is my cinnamon grapefruit syrup.
Nice.
Now, as you notice, there was a lot of booze going in this, and now there's a lot of sweet going in this. That's kind of the deal with tiki drinks. You're trying to mask a lot of alcohol. The zombie is built on at least 3 ounces of somewhat overproof liquor. I mean, this one is 3, there's 4, right? It's 1, 3, yeah, it's 3, it's 4 ounces of alcohol. And most cocktails are built on 2 ounces of alcohol. So it's a very strong drink that needs a lot of sugar to counteract, so it just doesn't taste like a rum bomb.
Yeah, and even we're using a different overproof rum, but even Demerara is over having an overproof rum in there, among other rums, and that much of it, it's a lot.
Yeah. So here's a bar spoon each of grenadine going into the mix.
Cute.
So if you're keeping track, our sweeteners so far are falernum, Dawn's mix, and grenadine. And then we're going to do 3/4 ounce each of fresh lime juice. So not a huge pour of citrus. Sorry. So I'm going to do 1.5 ounces since I'm building 2 drinks at once. Because you have so much booze and so much sweet in there, I would say if you make this and you find it a little too sweet for your liking, you could definitely up the citrus a bit, but that's totally up to you.
That's a good idea.
And then I'm going to add some Ango.
Ango, our old buddy Ango. Nice.
All right, we're going to use these cute little glasses.
Yes.
So much in this shaker.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Usually making 2 cocktails at once in one standard shaker tin is normal. There's plenty of room for 2 drinks. 3 is not a great idea. That doesn't quite leave enough room. And this 2-drink ratio is actually kind of pushing the limit on what you would want.
Yeah, I was worrying about that.
I'm going to take this with 2 hands.
A good idea. Oh, there.
There's some ice in this. Yeah, guys.
Cuties. Very cool. It is very cool. Don't want it to get on your lap. Great. All right. Oh, thank goodness.
All right. I'm going to garnish these with flag. That's what I'm going to do.
Cute.
I'll take that. So for these, the zombie doesn't, I mean, the zombie garnish there's not like a standard go-to garnish outside of a lime. I've seen a lot of things on zombie. One of my favorites is if you're juicing limes with like a automated juicer, you get like a little empty lime shell afterwards.
Cute.
And then I've seen that you fill that with the 151, or you fill that with some absinthe and set it on fire, and it's a little flaming boat
Ooh,
to go on top. So that's a really cool garnish.
That's adorable.
I could have set stuff on fire for you guys. I'm sorry that I didn't.
You know what? That can be a little like mini video there. Weird garnishes.
I'm gonna show you
flaming boats.
It's a really cool like, and you can actually like use like a little peel to make like a little mast.
Aww.
So you like put a peel on it like that and stick it in the boat. It's really cute. Seahawk would be a fan of that, right?
Oh yes.
Flaming boat.
Yes, he would.
But I'm gonna do something a little bit simpler, but also a classic tiki garnish. It's what we call a flag. And it's really basic. It's just using a wheel of citrus and a cherry.
Cute.
Let's grab a couple cherries out here. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna pierce your citrus on the edge, stack on your cherry there, and then you're gonna pierce the other edge. So you just get a cute little flag like that.
Aww.
That's a flag.
That is cute.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yay. Well, you've got some surface tension over here.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Okay. Wow. That's great.
Yeah, I would, if I overfill the glass in service, I do not offer that. That's just for me.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
So cute.
So here.
Here, mine's a little less full.
Yeah, you can.
I'll bring it to you so you can see how pretty. Ah! I love it.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Woo.
Oh.
Yeah. Mmm.
I mean, thank you. I mean, I'm getting the table hoisted.
Yes, that's usually my job.
So yeah, the flavor palette of this zombie, and really, I've definitely had zombies like I've ordered. I had a couple zombies in New Orleans that were just delicious, but very sweet fruit bombs. I like this recipe in particular because I think it balances out nicely. There's a lot of spice in there from the Don's mix, the falernum, the Angostura. You get a really good spice profile, would you say, like from this? Mm-hmm. You get the booze. It is not hidden completely. You feel the heat, but there is also a nice like fruitiness there that kind of brightens it up. So I like this drink because it tastes like what it's named as. The zombie is supposed to be a drink that would make you the living dead. So I think it's fair. Yeah,
that is fair.
What's going on in the chat? We gotta take our time with this because there's a lot of booze. I actually didn't even empty out the shaker. There's a lot of zombie left in there because these glasses are a little small for what you would usually pour a zombie. That could have made 3.
Okay.
So, well, a little baby zombie in there.
A little baby zombie. That's cute.
It's actually pretty sad. Baby zombie.
Little cute little baby zombie.
Baby zombies are always the worst part of zombie movies.
Oh yeah, that is really sad. I was thinking of like a cartoon version of it that I thought was very cute.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking of actual baby zombie. Okay. So, Drew's got a nice question. Is it true that you should never use spiced rum for tiki drinks?
Okay, so I can't think, there are classic tiki drinks that I've seen with this spiced rum as an ingredient, but spiced rum is sort of, there aren't a lot of respectable spiced rums out there. Captain Morgan's, as we've talked about, has a lot of additives. It's not a well-made rum, and they mask a lot with that spice profile. Another one on the market is the Kraken, which I think is a lot better because it's a little bit more naturally made. But the profile of spiced rum, it's interesting because a lot of tiki drinks are adding spice in separate fresher ways. So it's classic tiki drinks weren't based in spiced rum because spiced rum wasn't really a thing then.
Okay.
Historically, it's people sub it in, but I always prefer to keep the integrity of your rum separate from the integrity of your infusions. And there's so many elements of tiki that are essential to bring that spice that spiced rum is a bit of it's a fill-in ingredient that doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, it seems like it would obscure a lot of the flavors that you have going on. Even in here, it's like between the Don's mix that's cinnamon and then the Falernum and did I say that right?
Falernum.
Falernum. Oh,
Falernum.
Falernum.
That's a superhero.
Yes. Between all of those spicy ingredients, then it would kind of distort the integrity of the cocktail if you had a spice rum that was just throwing in whatever spices they decided was good for that rum. You know?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, nowadays spice rum is it's funny because it's kind of been like retro engineered. Now spice rum is a category that so many people are used to that there are really good rum companies that are offering a spice infused rum. I wish I could think of the name. There is a Louisiana rum company that has made like a Cajun spice rum. Ooh, it's really good. But it's got a savory spice to it. So it's not like it's not that it's a bad idea of rum. It's just that when we talk spice rum, a lot of the times we're talking about Captain Morgan's, which kind of puts spice rum on the map. So, you can use it. There's nothing wrong with it. But I think investigate some of the better spice rums if that's what you like to drink. And definitely if we're talking classic tiki, there's not a lot of spice rum involved.
Nice. Okay. Michael asks, is there a tiki drink that uses gin?
Yes, that's the Singapore Sling is the quintessential gin-based tiki drink. And there are other drinks we talked about in the episode, part 2, I guess. But
you haven't heard yet because we haven't put it out there.
But the Singapore Sling is a classic tiki drink that uses gin, and there are a couple other drinks that have gin as part of a build. Because just as much as like a lot of standard tiki is about blending rums, there are still drinks in that catalog that don't just blend rum; they blend rum and gin and brandy. You don't get a lot of whiskey showing up in tiki for obvious reasons. You get occasional tequila, but not a lot of tequila. But gin does show up because gin is such an old world spirit that you get some classic ones. But definitely the Singapore Sling would be the go-to.
Cool. Nice. Let's take a look. Questions. Ooh. Oh, so I took some gin and cranberry juice earlier. Does that count as a tiki drink?
No.
Perhaps in your heart.
Gin and cranberry.
That sounds like gin and juice to me.
Yeah, you're like no, because I was looking up like what are my Singapore Sling? Singapore Sling is gin, cherry liqueur, Benedictine lime juice, and pineapple juice. So you're about 3 ingredients short of a tiki cocktail there. You could maybe sub in that cranberry for like your cherry liqueur, maybe. But yeah, that's gin and juice. You're right.
It's gin and it's juice. Yeah. Gin and juice. I know I think there actually are like cocktails that are called gin and juice. I don't think it's like a famous thing, but I've seen that joke in bars basically.
Yeah, lots of people call things gin and juice.
Yeah, for their signature cocktails. Is it a regional difference or is it more like a zombie 1, zombie 2? It's just whatever people decided because they had to. So words. So we're going to talk about next week in the part 2 episode the kind of reconstruction of a lot of these drinks that were sort of like the recipes were lost or not known. And kind of like the reverse engineering of them. So I think, is it safe to say that a lot of people just in trying to figure out what the original zombie was, came up with different versions of it?
Yeah, well, that's Like, I worked at a bar for a while that we actually did a zombie flight, and it was based on the era of cocktailing that was what was the common zombie at the time. So if you do your, like, there's due diligence there that you can find where you can see how the zombie morphed from, like, in the 40s and 50s when people were trying to replicate what Don was doing, in the 70s and 80s when people were sort of making garbage drinks out of bad ingredients, and then the cocktail resurgence in the 90s, and then on up through. I think that the kind of revelation in Don's recipes only happened in like the early 2000s. I think that's when that was kind of a Beach Bum Berry thing. Who helped the cocktail archaeologist, right?
Yes.
The Indiana Jones of cocktailing. That's in part 2 of our episode. You're going to hear about him. But he helped figure out a lot of Don's secret recipes. So when we're talking about the different varieties of zombie, it's really just what was popular at the time. And then nowadays, the one that we just made is closest to what we think was originally made by the man himself.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, the gin and juice is in Snoop Dogg's cookbook.
Well, that makes
I'm not
sense.
surprised.
I would like, what does he, is it not just gin and juice? I would love to know what's,
I mean,
Snoop
you know,
says
he
is
might
in gin juice.
he might have added some fancy stuff now because he's been cooking with Martha Stewart. So, you know, I don't know. But if anybody has a claim to the name of that cocktail, it is Snoop Dogg. So go Snoop.
The great. I have a playlist actually that is drinking songs. I should figure out how to share it because it's all like songs related to drinking, songs that reference alcohol, songs that reference bar culture. Gin juice is of course on it, but
public Spotify playlist.
Let's make
it going.
It's what I would put on like a lot of times for my bar shifts because I just thought it was fun to put on. I have that, and I have a closing playlist that I put on specifically to get people out the door.
But does it have that song Closing Time?
It does have Closing Time on it, which you just, I don't know, it's hard to get around that song. But
yeah, I think a lot of bars played that to get people out. It's like the polite signal.
It's a pretty, like, as lame as that song is thought to be, when you're at a bar and you put that on and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, there's like, maybe you're just tired and a little bit drunk enough that you're like, yeah, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. You gotta go. There is a better closing song. It's by Red Peters. I think it's called The Closing Song. Oh. And it's chorus is literally get the fuck out of here, finish up that beer. It's really good.
That's delightful. I love that. I love that. Okay. Let's see what else do we have here. Yes.
Anything else?
Find a celebrity cookbook and see if they have any crazy cocktails to try. Could be. Yeah, maybe. Maybe if you find some crazy celebrity cocktails, you could send them to us.
I would like to know if that, oh gosh, what was her name? I remember her from like watching the Food Network when the Food Network was Sarah Lee. No, she makes
the Barefoot
brownies.
Contessa?
Not the Barefoot Contessa, the Simi Homemade. Who is the Simi Homemade lady? Is that Sandra Lee? She would like take Twinkies and like squish them up in a bowl and somehow make a cake with them and be like, it's so easy. But she's actually a really cool lady.
What?
She did semi-homemade. So it was all stuff that you could buy pre-made ingredients and make things that looked homemade, things that would take a lot of time. She always made cocktails. She would make tablescapes, like these really beautiful like tablescapes, but she'd make them out of like dollar store things that were really cheap. And a lot of people gave her a lot of grief, but then if you've read her autobiography is actually badass and cool. Like she grew up in a really like a difficult home life. Like she had a really disjointed family growing up, and like her like interest in creating like this easy to make sense of like hominess and like affordable, but like also like it's
stuff that she would have had access to.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. I will not handle any shit talked about that woman because she worked with what she had. Yes. Sandra Lee, yes, Sandra Lee. Yes, semi-homemade with Sandra Lee. Patron saint of a certain style of bartending, at least, because she would just be like, add 3 ounces of vodka, and just be like, nope. Say when.
Is that a meme? Because I feel like
that's her.
I've seen that. Her. Okay.
And a lot of people reduce her to that, but it's like, nah, she knew what she was doing, okay? Yes.
That's amazing. Okay.
Love,
All right.
love Sandra Lee. Nothing but love for Sandra Lee.
Yes. Let's see. Do we have any more questions, or should we make another cocktail? I mean, I
I
guess.
still got a little bit left here.
All right.
So let's see if there's any other questions.
Let's keep talking, guys. Let me try to get on this.
Oh yeah. Her Halloween episodes were great. No, I would. There are very few Food Network hosts that I would want to hang out with, but absolutely Sandra Lee. I would want to have a party with Sandra Lee. Maybe Alton Brown, but I think Alton Brown seems cool. But then he might actually like super judge everything I do.
I feel like he'd be cool. I think he'd be cool. He's I mean, he seems like I don't know. I feel like he seems very not high maintenance. He feels just like very particularly excited and like has a lot of opinions, but like it seems like he'd be nice about it. I think he'd be nice about it.
I do. I will say one of his ideas that I really love is that any tool that can only do one thing is like for kitchen tools. Like you should be able to have multiple uses.
Yeah,
for a tool. Like,
that's a good rule.
Don't buy into the consumerism that tells you like this is the thing you even with like juicers.
Right.
Like they want to tell you need 3 of these for 3 different sized fruits. It's like no, you could just cut your fruit in smaller pieces and use the same one.
It's true.
But I respect that aspect of Alton Brown.
Because he's like they're trying to play you.
Yeah.
Do you think you need this one tool that can do this one thing? This tool can do 5 things. Why would you?
If it doesn't pass the MacGyver test, you don't need it in your kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to drink of Martha Stewart. That sounds great.
Wait, didn't Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg drink together?
Oh, I'm sure they do it all the time. Because they have that show together. Yeah. So they make stuff together. They make cocktails together.
Have either of you been to any Pacific Islands? No.
I have not, but I have an aunt who lives in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And she always visited us. But my parents visited her before they had children. So Teresa and Travis have been to see her though. But I have not been able to. It's not a great time to fly. So now that even though I have a lot of free time now, it's not a great time to go.
All the time in the world to travel, nowhere to go.
Yeah.
No one wants us.
I'd like to travel, but maybe another year. But you haven't, or have? Yeah, I guess no. I was gonna ask if maybe if you had been any of the islands off of like by Japan, but
I have not. I don't know if that would count, but I have not. I've only been to like the main.
Yes,
Japanese.
Same ocean, other side.
Yes, I think because I know because New Zealand gets lumped into that, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, never been to any of that, but no, I would love to go. I would love to go anywhere. I haven't been, honestly, but yeah.
That would be nice.
Maybe someday.
But we can learn about them and pretend that we visited.
This is how we visit places elsewhere. We just make their drinks and wear silly shirts.
Would you want to go to a specific one? I feel, okay, sorry, I'm reading multiple comments at the same time, which is not a good format to do that by. I mean, I feel like before I visit any other ones, I should probably visit my aunt in Hawaii. But yeah.
I would love to go to Hawaii. I want to go everywhere.
New Zealand would be cool too.
I would love to go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, wow. There's I would go to any of those islands. I think that would be great. That would be good. I don't think we're allowed to, and we have American passports, so there's very little places that we could go.
I mean, I guess we could go to Hawaii because it's still, it's America.
Yes, because it's America.
We would have to quarantine. Well, no, but you know what? Actually, I'll say this. I think we wouldn't have to quarantine coming back because Hawaii is one of the few places that's actually okay right now. But I would feel bad going there. I would just feel wrong going there.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Nope. Yes. Love the contrast of y'all's hair. Thank you. Thank you. We planned it.
Yes.
No, we didn't.
No.
Ooh, anything else? Oh, it sent you pics of the gin and juice recipes on Insta. Great.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks. I think a rice cooker would be a good tool that does one thing, though.
Oh, rice cooker is a multi-tool. No, right? You can cook lots of things in a rice cooker.
You can steam vegetables, right?
You can steam vegetables. You can make your rice and steam your vegetables at the same time in a rice cooker. You can do a lot more than just cook rice in a rice cooker. Because it's like a steam bay.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think unless you have like a cultural tradition of making rice, I think that a lot of people don't know how to make rice very well. I don't. I burn it. I'm very bad at making rice.
Well, and making rice on the stove, I don't know how you don't have burned rice at the bottom of your rice. I have a rice cooker. I have a Hello Kitty rice cooker.
Oh,
it's really cute.
Perfect.
It's really cute. But it's got a vegetable basket, and I love that. Like for making dinner, and you can just have your rice ready to go, and then you have steamed vegetables, and you just throw it all in a bowl together. Like, so I don't think a rice cooker. I think that you can use a lot. You can do a lot. People are pointing out in the chat, I think.
Oh my gosh, yes. They're so good. They're so good. You can make black garlic in them. What? Oh
yeah, I was like, somebody said, Ryan said you can make cake in a rice cooker. I've seen people make like those weird fluffy cakes, like the steamed cakes in a rice cooker.
Yes, yeah. I actually did see the rice video from the BBC, but I saw so there's a video of I saw the man commenting on it. That's how I saw it, and I also I watched that and also had thought, yes, I think I should just get a rice cooker. If I don't know how to really make rice, I should just get a rice cooker.
They're not expensive. You can use them for other things. And also, I guess if I was going to agree with one multi-tool, the ability to make rice without destroying it, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
That's amazing because I it's not just rice with me. I will forget that I started something on the stove and walk away from it and then come back and it's too late. So
I also think rice is my favorite carb. Like I'm not.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, I'm not like a bread person. I'm not a pasta person. I'm more of a pasta person than a bread person. But across the board, I would rather have rice with anything. So
it's great. Yeah, rice is great. This is a rice podcast.
We are pro rice on this podcast. I hope that's okay.
Yes.
Everybody that's making pancakes in your rice cooker, that is cool.
Wow.
I can't make pancakes. I make podcasts. I can't make pancakes on the stove. So if you can make them in a rice cooker.
I make podcasts, not pancakes.
I don't make podcasts on the stove. I don't make anything on the stove. I had some leftover.
Pancakes?
I don't. I had some leftover pizza that I offered Liz, and Liz asked if I ever used my oven, and I recounted the 2 times in the 2 years I lived here that I'd used my oven. So I made cookies once, and once I made scones, and Liz just looked at me like, "Can I use it? Like, what does that mean?"
No, that's what I would, because I had a feeling that you didn't use your oven, so I wanted to know if it was safe to use, or if it was storage, if it was
those 2 times.
If it was okay to use. Also, Taylor's oven is in Celsius,
and I can't change it. So it's good. I like things that make me learn.
So 350 Fahrenheit is 176 Celsius. Just so y'all know.
Probably.
No, I just assumed. I turned it on. I was like, well, it's usually preset at 350.
It could be 250. Who knows?
So I'm going to say 176 is 350 and just leave it on there. I'm not going to change any numbers at all. Air fryers. Ooh, how do you like that? That sounds great. French fries.
Sounds very healthy too.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like frying without oil, right? Yeah, I guess so. Ooh.
All right.
Oh, is there any of this left?
That is no mas.
Okay, good.
I mean, there might be a little bit left if you pour it out.
It's diluted. Sure.
That's probably not a bad idea.
It's fine. Yeah.
It's a very strong drink.
Yes.
Yeah, anybody that needs to make a drink that you just want to have one of on a night, granted, this was very complicated ingredient-wise, but this is the drink. I'm going to rinse out our shaker so we can make the Mai Tai. Yeah.
Sounds good. Oh, I'm so glad you're here for the rice talk. I would love to talk about rice. I don't know that much about it, but I'm very interested in it. So if y'all want to talk about rice, I will read your comments. Okay. Instead of an air fryer, you can use the convection setting on an oven. Ooh, that sounds a little complicated, not gonna lie. But maybe with some practice and more information, I would be open to that.
Air fry?
Masha says that you can use you can use the convection setting on an oven instead of an air fryer. No. I don't know how that works, but like, cool. Would that mean that there's like, I guess because when I think of convection, like a convection oven is like a toaster oven, right? So there's like air and heat at the same time. Is that what it is? I'm making.
I think it circulates the air. I think that's right.
Okay.
Circulates the hot air.
Yeah. I mean, I've made a lot of things in the toaster oven.
Well, yeah. I don't know if that counts. Does it count?
I mean, there's a lot of things you can make in the toaster oven. That's a multi-tool.
Toaster ovens are definitely a multi-tool. Toaster ovens over toasters, because toasters, that is a very limited tool.
Toasters can do bread and waffles.
Am I the only one? I don't have a toaster or toaster oven. I just flambe my bread over the open flame of my gas range when I want toast.
That's very,
is that bad?
That's very rugged.
I like it because I get burnt bits and I get toasty bits, and then I get like just warm but raw kind of like center of the bread.
I mean, I definitely like things roasted over an open fire. I don't know about like the gas stove bit, but
maybe I get a little gasoline in there too. I don't know. Is that part of the flavor?
I don't know.
All right, so y'all keep arguing about ovens.
We're gonna make another drink now.
We're clearly not specialists when it comes to ovens, but we know this cocktail stuff. So we're going to move on to the Mai Tai.
Yes.
All right. So the Mai Tai is going to use a mix of white rum and dark rum. But for this, we're going to shake the white rum in the drink, and the dark rum is actually going to be a float. So it still kind of fits with our tiki like rum blend idea, but it goes in different places. I don't know.
It's complicated.
Yeah. So we're going to do. I'm going to use this white oak Trinidad rum that we got.
A white rum we've never tried before.
We kept talking about trying it for the podcast, and then the podcast happened. So, well, now we're here.
Now we're here.
So it's 1.5 ounces of each. So you use 3 ounces of this white rum. Okay. You could use your Bacardis or whatever white rum you wanted for this.
That's totally fine. You're gonna put other stuff in there. It's not gonna be the only flavor.
Right. I actually think, like, looking at the ingredients, I think this would be a great place to like do like a rum agricole, like a super grassy white rum, but
ooh, I wonder. So if you were gonna use a rum agricole, like, could you use cachaça maybe?
You could always use cachaça in place of rum agricole.
Ooh,
and I would probably like that better.
I love cachaça.
Me too. Cachaça and rum agricole. I mean, rum agricole is my favorite style of rum. Mm-hmm. Cachaça is a very, very close relative to rum agricole. I digress. Okay, so we got 1.5 ounces each of white rum in there. I'm going to use 3/4 ounce of curacao, orange curacao, for each drink. So I'm going to do 1.5 ounces since I'm making 2.
Nice.
Any curacao is fine for this. I mean, there's triple sec, Grand Marnier, a whole world of orange liqueurs. I always like to tend on the dry side when I'm doing like tiki style drinks, just because there's already going to be there's other sugars that are coming in after this. Mm-hmm. And I really love this in particular, this Pierre Franc dry curacao, because it's really juicy and citrusy without being very sweet. It's very like light on the palate.
I love the look of that bottle.
It's like their labeling is very good. It kind of has this classic old world appeal, but it's a pretty like decently priced bottle. It's not that expensive, and it's a good product. It makes great margaritas.
Beautiful.
Yeah, great sidecars.
Yes. All right. Yes. Give it to me.
So then I do
I'm gonna
3/4 ounce of smell away. 3/4 ounce of lime juice per drink. So I'm gonna do 1.5 ounces.
I like when you have like liqueurs. When you put the cap back on, you can hear the sugar.
Yeah.
I like it.
Sometimes there's too much of that, and then you can't open the bottle ever again. I have definitely had to soak like Saint Germain and Curacao under hot water to get to open the damn.
Wow.
Yeah. You probably had it too long at that point, to be fair.
I mean, but it's like it's liqueur, but it's liquor. It should have enough alcohol that it would be fine, but you know.
So I'm doing 1/2 ounce each of orgeat. Orgeat, as we mentioned before, it's an almond-based syrup. It's really easy to make. It's basically like you're milking almonds and infusing them with like a sweetener.
Yeah.
So.
And if you have a nut allergy or like specifically almond allergy, you can actually, there's other things that you can use to make different types of orgeats. I know that you can make a sesame orgeat.
Anything that has that nutty flavor, because the reason we use almond, I've made walnut orgeat, I've made sesame orgeat, I've made peanut orgeat. Like you can make orgeat out of any sort of, like, you just want something that's a little fatty and just has that flavor of that nuttiness. So that's really all you're looking for. You kind of want a fatty syrup.
Cool. Nice.
Okay. And I'm going to shake this up.
Shake it.
Nice.
Do you need more ice?
No, we're good. Will you throw some ice in those rocks glasses though?
Yeah.
I'm just grinding some almonds up and making Mai Tai smoothie. You want that almond flavor to be really present, and it's gonna take a while. Even if you grind it up, like it's gonna need to diffuse into the other liquid ingredients. So I don't think almond butter or almond milk. I've seen some real good shortcuts made to orgeat by buying a nut milk and sweetening it and adding some flavoring.
Okay,
that works pretty well, because ultimately what you're doing is like properly made orgeat. You're milking. You're milking nuts. That sounds really. You know what I mean?
You're making nuts into milk.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can buy a ready-made nut milk and make orgeat really easily.
Okay, that's a good shortcut.
Yeah.
Maybe not just almonds in a blender.
Because that's the first step to orgeat. But like when I make orgeat, like you would put the almonds in the blender, blend it up, like soak it in water, and then strain that water off, and use that water that's like infused for a day. And then you'd sweeten it. So you're gonna miss something in the flavor by not letting it properly infuse.
You could probably make a Mai Tai smoothie pretty easily by putting all the ingredients of a Mai Tai in a blender with some ice and blending it. Then you wouldn't have nuts in your drink.
Well, but I mean that's important to the orgeat.
Right, you wouldn't have like
granular nuts.
Yes, no. Like I'm saying, like, yes, use the orgeat or use the nut milk and sweeten it. You know, you could take that shortcut. But if your goal is that you want it to be a smoothie, you could put it in a blender with ice and make it a smoothie. If you want a smoothie Mai Tai.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think like that's the goal is to, because the goal of orgeat is to provide a fatty, nutty flavor, like a texture, kind of a silky texture, and then whatever like other flavorings you're added in. Usually there's maybe some spice involved or some citrus, but so that's as long as you're guaranteeing that's in your drink. If you have like a house-made like nut milk, sometimes a little bit nuttier than when it's been watered down, so you can use that as a base, and then just your sweetener. So you can definitely use a nut milk. I just wouldn't use like fresh blanched and blended nuts, because you're not going to get the infusion into the rest of the drink.
Okay, good. That's clear now.
All right,
got it.
So we have our all of our ingredients shaken and in the glass. Now, the only other part is going to be our dark rum. We're going to use some Jamaican blackstrap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess it's a Jamaican hot still black rum. We're just gonna float about half an ounce over top of the drink, so you're gonna get a nice like color variation. Now, usually when we float on top, we'll just pour it lightly over the back of a bar spoon. It's not a perfect science, but you just don't want to like dunk it in there. That's gonna float to the bottom. You want to give it like a slow pour.
Okay.
You've seen me do this before with like the half and half on our Irish episode, and I was really bad at it, but maybe I'll do better today.
Yeah, it's fine. Do you want me to do this part?
Yeah, just a little bit over top.
Tell me when.
Okay. Oh, maybe a little bit more. That's good.
Okay.
All right. So there you go. You just got a little bit. It's about a half ounce that you want to have floating over top there. So a little bit over yours.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yours looks a little better. That's a little better. Hold that one. Let's garnish it. Let's hold that one.
Let's garnish it.
We're gonna
put
do
it on there. Yeah. I thought that if I had put it in, you know what? It looked good in the package when I bought it, and then I thought if I put it in some ice. Sometimes when you put like sprigs of things in a cup of ice water, it perks up a little bit, but you know, doesn't always work.
No. Yeah. Fresh herbs are hard to like properly have just present on your bar if you're not using them immediately. I usually will like pick off the lower, like anything that's starting to go leaf wise, like you pick off, and you putting them in ice water is the best thing. But even like storing them overnight, you like the best way is to take each sprig out and like pack it between wet paper towels. That's a lot of work at a bar.
Okay.
Mint's not that expensive. Sometimes I am a big fan of just like have it fresh and looking pretty because it's a garnish. If it's not looking pretty, then just what's the point?
Just throw it in the garbage.
Get rid of it. That's one of my. That's not a complaint. Oh, there you go. Yours is festive and beautiful. Oh, your mint is a little. Your mint feels like all of us right now.
She's a little tired.
I did my best.
She's exhausted. Okay.
I was here when it mattered. We all understand that mint right now. Okay. All right. Cheers. Mai Tais.
Mai Tai. Okay. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Layers.
And I will say it's not too sweet.
No.
No, it's got a nice acidity to it.
It's very agreeable. You get a little bit of that spice, but it's mostly just like refreshing. This is a great summer drink, which is also another reason why we wanted to do this cocktail series right now, is because it is great if you are just trying to cool off, you know, if you're going to make some drinks. And if you're willing to go get those ingredients or go the extra length to put all of the things into a tiki drink that a tiki drink requires, you could make a lot of tiki drinks with the ingredients that you get.
Well, and I will say, like, this is the simplest Mai Tai. The Mai Tai is another one of those drinks that you'll see apricot liqueur, you'll see other juices, pineapple juice. You'll see a lot of things pop up into. I love the complicated aspect of tiki. It's so opposite of the way I bartend that I respect it. But I also still think, like, this is a good drink. You could make it more complicated, but the essence of the Mai Tai is it's really just that. It's citrusy. The orgeat is there to round it out. You've got a rum base. That's it in its simplest form. So same deal. It's like you've had Mai Tais that are more complicated, more fruity. Those are great, but I think structure-wise, this is a bit more of like across-the-board agreeable cocktail.
Yeah. It's very citrus-forward. It's not too sweet, as you said, which is like, I also think like if you're going to be drinking one thing all night, like a Mai Tai is pretty safe because it is not a lot. Yeah, it's not too sweet. You know, it's rum, so there are residual sugars in there.
Yeah, anytime you're drinking rum, you're going to be drinking sugar. maybe going to have the hangover. That's just true.
Yeah. You know, just don't plan your night so that you don't have anything to do the next day.
Well, and I do think like these specific builds are good examples of they're classic tiki drinks, but too often when we say tiki, or once you listen to the whole podcast, you'll get maybe a better understanding of the word tiki is maybe not the thing we want to carry forward, but we're talking about tropical drinks, boat drinks, like whatever you want to call them. We can still have these super fun, complicated drink builds, but like they don't need to be the sugar bombs that we're used to.
Yes.
Like we can these recipes are based on like the most classic simplistic forms that Don the Beachcomber, Trader Vic, like the tiki style sort of godfathers were making, and they really aren't those super sweet, full of artificial ingredient drinks.
Yes. That's something that I do appreciate a lot about tiki is that when you do have a sugar element in there, it's always fresh ingredients. It's always like fresh juices, like freshly made syrups. You're not doing a lot of like you're not using like I think sometimes it's necessary, but sometimes a simple syrup is sort of like wasted because it could be another ingredient, it could be another element to it. But with everything that's going into a tiki drink, or a tropical drink, it is very well thought out, and everything is for a purpose, and it's fresh. So yes, you're getting sugar, but it's not like wasted sugar. It's not artificial sugar. It's not anything superfluous, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is the kind of the sharp edge of a good tiki style drink, is that you have all of those very like iconic ingredients in balance. You have a spice component, like a profile of spice. You have a citrus profile. You have a rum profile, or like it can be other liqueurs, but classically it's rum. You have all of these profiles kind of working together with sweet elements, but you have all of them present in the final concoction, which I think these two particular, this version of the Mai Tai, this version of the zombie, you get spice, you get citrus, you get booze, you also get fruit. And that to me, like, I love that. It's the same way we talk about like the more like classic prohibition style bartending or pre-prohibition style bartending, where we talk about balancing like bitter, sweet, and booze. Mm-hmm. Tiki just adds in spice, it adds in fruit, but it's still a balancing act. And that is, I don't think, I really don't agree with people that dismiss the style as like, oh, that's sweet, fruity drinks. Like, no, they just add in like a couple extra elements that have to be balanced.
Right. Because if we're going to talk about like drinks that are just a lot of sugar, like, arguably a vodka cran is actually still a lot of sugar, although that is kind of sold as a diet drink. Like there's a lot of drinks that are trash profile wise, like trash taste wise, that have more sugar than some of these drinks.
Yeah, well, exactly. And too often I think, people think like, oh, it's a boat drink, it's a sweet drink, whatever. It can be all sugar. That's what you want. But when you look at the history of it, it's a different flavor profile, but it has the exact same concerns that all of classic bartending has, which is balance. Mm-hmm. And a well-balanced tiki drink is just as respectable and drinkable as a well-balanced pre-prohibition cocktail.
Yes. I will say something that that we've talked about before that you educated me a little bit about is that if you are getting anything that is in a smoothie form, is in like a frozen cocktail, there's going to be more sugar added to that, because cold makes your tastes, it like numbs your tastes a little bit. So they add more sugar so that you can actually taste it. So any version of these, of any tropical drinks that you get, if you get it in a frozen version, it's going to have more sugar in it.
Yeah. Well, and that's just true for I mean, we all know this from being like kids and having the like, what are they, the otter pops or like the push pops. Like,
Yeah.
if you've ever just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get messed up. I'm gonna drink one unfrozen. Just drink the juice. Like that, like unfrozen, like freeze pop juice. It's just so sweet, right? It's just like sugar bomb. But when you have it frozen, it tastes all right. That is it in essence. Like things that are cold taste different than things that are room temperature and things that are warm. We taste sweet much more as things warm up. So yeah, that's absolutely true. When you're drinking frozen drinks, you're just always going to get more residual sugar, because as bartenders, that's how we make things palatable. So if you're trying to avoid sugar, I would say avoid frozen. If a frozen drink tastes good, it tastes good because there's a lot of extra sugar in there. Yeah. Frozen margaritas are probably a less good option than a fresh margarita.
Right. You know, but also if like you like sugar, I mean, I'm not thinking in the diet terms, I'm thinking in the hangover terms. That's what I'm concerned about.
Well, I mean, for whatever reason, there are lots of great reasons to avoid sugar. Like sugar's another addictive substance, just like many things. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're obviously not the people that are here to give you good advice on like being healthful and well.
No, that's not. That's not what we're doing. Absolutely not. Is a gimlet? Oh, I like this. This is a very philosophical question to me. Is a gimlet the original gin and juice? I say.
I mean, there's gin and there's juice, but then there's also sweetener. Maybe?
Oh, because but is juice just pure juice, or is it like, I guess because the juice that Snoop is talking about would be a sweeter juice. It would be like a juice with sweetener. So maybe. That's a good question.
I will say I don't think a gin gimlet deserves any more or less respect than a gin in any juice. Gin gimlet specifically is interesting to me because I'm not the only one that has this belief. Some like big names in the cocktail world believe this. So a classic gimlet is made with roses, sweet, and lime, because a gimlet comes from the era on like naval vessels when we would use like spirits, gin, or rum with a preserved lime. So they would add some like lime juice. They would sweeten it. They would add a lot of sugar to it.
Sugar
to
would
make
be
it
as a preservative.
So preserved lime juice mixed with gin is what I mean, in a bar, like in the bars I work at, we don't have roses, sweet, and lime. We don't have preserved lime juice. I'll make you a fresh gimlet. But I actually, as a fan of gimlets, my favorite gimlet uses roses, sweet, and lime juice. And so in that sense, that is a two ingredient build, because I think the essence of what Snoop Dogg is talking about is something that's simple, that you can build easily, gin and juice. And I think roses, sweet, and lime juice and gin, that I think fits the mold.
Yeah.
I also would argue is what a gimlet should be.
Right.
Other than that, it's a gin sour.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and that's something to think about if you're thinking about like, I mean, I guess we could also like get into the whole concept of like, what is juice? Like, because there are fresh juices, and what we mostly mean by fresh juices is not only that there's that like we just squeezed this fruit, so it's fruit juice, it's pure fruit juice, but also that it doesn't have additives, it doesn't have sugar, because anything that you get that is a juice, unless you get it from like a place that juices things and sells those things, like if you get them like sells fresh juices, anything that's not a fresh juice is going to have some sugar added. So that's like, but like, so what? Yeah, I guess that's the philosophical question of what is juice? Is it the fresh juice or is it juice? I think it's philosophical because what did Snoop mean? I feel like Snoop meant juice, like juice that like a kid would drink. Like the way that, and not saying that, like, yeah, just like what you think of as juice is like a juice that you grow up with, like if you think of like grape juice, you're not thinking of like squeezing grapes. You're thinking of the grape juice that you buy from the store.
Right.
So that's going to have preservatives and sugar added. I don't know.
Well,
and in that case, yeah, exactly what you said. The Rose's lime juice would be a juice.
Yeah, and I think that if I could extrapolate from the essence of the song Gin and Juice,
please.
I would assume that, I mean, because his mind is on his money, his money is on his mind. He's not worried about making himself a complicated and unnecessarily complex cocktail. I think he is drinking gin mixed with and juice.
Juice. Yes.
That is, I got a simple plan, I got a simple idea, and then I'm thinking about more important things. So I think we're talking about, I think a gimlet in the terms of roses, sweet lime, and gin. Maybe just gin and orange juice, actually. Maybe gin and grapefruit. Mm-hmm. I love
something that already has sugar.
Yeah, like I'm not a big fan of vodka. We all know this. Vodka's nothing to me. Sorry, vodka.
That's okay. I trashed vodka a few minutes ago.
That's fine. But I prefer, like, if I'm gonna have like my brunch drinks, like I like gin in my Bloody Mary. I like gin in my orange juice. So that's gin and juice to me. Is just gin and orange juice. It's like a screwdriver, but it's got a little bit more respect for it because the gin actually provides something to the orange juice flavor-wise.
Some of these questions are cool.
This new recipe specifies orange juice, but okay. Yes.
Well,
all right. That was always my thought, was we're talking about gin and orange juice, but
yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I like that, and that makes sense also because it's already, the orange juice that you get it's already got sugar in it. It's already very.
It's everything you need. You got a little bit of acid. You've got some sweet. You got gin.
Whether you use bottled orange juice or if you went to the trouble of getting fresh orange juice, those both have a lot of sugar. So it's a perfect ingredient. You can't go wrong.
Got any other questions?
How would you make a blue Hawaiian?
Oh, we made blue Hawaiians on here, right? That's pineapple, coconut.
I thought we made a blue lagoon.
Oh, that was a blue lagoon.
What is in a blue Hawaiian?
Blue Hawaiian is, it's
okay if you have to look it up. I don't know the answer.
No, I just. Oh no, it is rum. It's pineapple juice, rum, blue curacao, creme de coconut. Yeah. So.
Cream of coconut?
Yeah. Coconut milk, coconut cream.
Wow.
Yeah, as I said, I've had them blended. I've had a blended blue Hawaiian before. I've never made one behind a bar because that's not stuff that we usually have behind a bar.
So coconut milk. So it's like, it kind of sounds like a blue lagoon, except for you use coconut milk, which would make it like kind of an oat.
Blue lagoon was vodka.
Well, yes, but I think arguably if you use vodka for something, you could probably use another clear spirit for it. But the coconut milk would make it opaque, which would give it a different kind of look there.
I mean, are you talking about? I mean, if you wanted it in a blender, I think that this would blend up really nicely. With that, like, it's kind of like the focus is the pineapple juice, and then the creme de cacao, and you're adding the rum and the blue curacao as the modifiers. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess if I made one fresh, I probably wouldn't follow this recipe because this recipe sounds really sweet. I think you could shake it. I would probably do like 2 ounces of rum, 3/4 ounce of blue curacao as my sweet. The only citrus going in this drink is pineapple juice, but I don't think that that's going to provide you enough citrus. So I would probably throw a little 1/2 ounce of lime in there and maybe cut the pineapple juice down to like 1 ounce of pineapple juice. And then the coconut cream, I'd keep like a good like 3/4 to a full ounce of coconut cream, but like unsweetened coconut cream, just like the fatty coconut cream, and shake it up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would probably work out all right.
I like this. I like this idea.
But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm always hesitant of drinks that are shaken and have an acid profile and don't have lime or lemon unless it's grapefruit. Grapefruit can stand in with a good amount of acidity. just pineapple. There are a lot of drinks that just have pineapple as their acids, but I always think they benefit from a little splash of lime juice.
Mm-hmm. Alexis. All right. Ooh. Everyone thinks that we should have Snoop Dogg on the podcast. If he'd be keen.
That sounds great. Why? How are we going to get Snoop Dogg on our tiny podcast? Thank you all for listening. But
maybe he'd do a Zoom with us. Maybe we should reach out to him. I don't know.
I would listen to Snoop Dogg say whatever he wanted to say to us about alcohol or drinking or just life.
It could just be Snoop Dogg talking. It could be Snoop Dogg talking the entire time.
I watched his rap battle that he had not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just loved he was dancing the whole time and just having a great time. Like, it doesn't matter what he was doing. He was winning. He was winning.
He's
Even if he wasn't winning. Like,
he's a legend. I mean, well, those battles are really cool because like everyone who's battled over live stream, it's like it's not really a battle. It's more of a like celebration of each other. Like Jill Scott and Erykah Badu had a battle, and that was crazy and so good, but it was just them just like hyping each other up, and it was amazing. It's amazing. But yes, I love Snoop Dogg. I'd love to be on
I'm like, you should do it. It's like, yeah, we wish we could. That would be like yeah.
You know, I don't know. Maybe we'll reach out to him one day.
I'm way more interested in talking to Snoop Dogg about like how he feels about drinking than important figures in the bar community.
Yeah, anyone else. I'd just like to know what he thinks.
I've done that and I have certain feelings about it, but I'm way more interested in people that just are cool people that also drink versus people that have based their identities around like drinking. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you all so much for your support in reaching out to Snoop. Maybe we will. Yeah. Did you know that he pays someone just to roll his blunts? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. No. Not surprised at all.
That just sounds right.
Because some people can roll very well and they deserve to be paid. You know?
I think that's just, I don't know. I wish that there was people that get money. Like, I get that the reason people have a lot of money is probably because they don't take care of people. That's how you get lots of money. There's a point where you decide to like not take care of people. Because that's what everyone's like, well, if I was a billionaire, you know what I'd do? It's like, well, that's why you'll never be a billionaire. Because you want to take care of people with your money.
A lot of people who get there because they aren't afraid to dick people over under them.
Yeah.
But I think that's like not always the case. I mean, because also what we're talking about is the difference between like millionaires and billionaires. There's a huge difference. I think like people like Snoop are like major multi-millionaires. They're not billionaires. And like also I don't know. I haven't done research into Snoop's how he spends his money, but I get the feeling that he is one of those that like actually does put it back into the people around him and the community and all that. Because
I like to think of that only in like some weird encouraging idea of, you know, we talk about these people that have like all this money that they don't do anything to help us, but that maybe like monetarily there are other quote unquote billionaires out there, but because they've been so like they've done so much philanthropy, they've donated so much, they've never even qualified. Like, I like to believe that there are good people that get money and go like, I should invest this in lots of places. And we know like there are people out there that are more public about it, but like I think that when someone gets to the billionaire level, it's because they've chosen not to help people.
Yeah.
Because I think there are a lot of people that aren't there because they've chosen to help people.
I think that as someone as us being in our socioeconomic class, I think that that's fair for us to say.
Yeah, yeah.
because I don't really like the people that you see when you look up like who has like the 1%, who is that like, and who is the billionaires that are on the verge of being trillionaires. What they do with their money, how they got their money. It's a little, I'm just putting this idea out there. Capitalism is it's not great.
I agree. Well, I mean, I think people that like, I don't give a shit if you've got a nice house, you've got a boat, you can live comfortably. That's fine. Like, I get that can be comfortably done as a millionaire.
That's not what we're talking about.
No, it's just, there's a whole other level where it's just like, oh man. But I mean, I don't know. I remind myself constantly, and maybe this is just something that I feel like I was lucky to learn when I was super broke, about how happiness doesn't really increase when you increase your quality of living. There's like the hierarchy of needs. We all understand
yes,
that. Like,
because once you have a certain amount of comfort, then you expect that, and then you aren't satisfied with that anymore, and you want more comforts, and then you're always going to be climbing that ladder.
Well, and there's a level where you need, like, knowing that where you can sleep at night, knowing that you can have a meal, feeling safe, feeling comfortable. That's all important. And
those are
none of that stuff should be
needs.
Yes. But once you get above that, you adjust your situations, and then anything minus that feels painful.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I haven't had many options, but I always want to have that awareness of like, I don't want to raise my comfort level, because every time I do, it means that it's going to be harder to drop back down. I'd rather just stay where I'm at. And I don't think, I think that, because that's the thing, you don't get more happy. You don't get more happy.
You don't get more happy. You get more rich, but you don't get more happy.
Yeah. But your happiness then becomes, if I don't go on a yacht for 2 months out of the summer, then I am not living. It's like, I don't ever want to have my happiness measured by things that are like that hard to keep up with.
Absolutely not.
Because we're all just psychological creatures. Like, happiness at some point just becomes a controllable thing. It's just chemistry, your happiness past a certain point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So on that note,
that's true. That's fair.
yes. Capitalism is killing everyone.
Well, you know what? I mean, maybe it's because I've had a couple tiki drinks, but we're on this podcast about booze, and I am a bartender by trade. I've been a bar manager for that's my identity. I quit my bar job of 5 years recently. I feel I haven't said, it happened like a few days ago, but I'm going to say this here because I think it's fine. It's a safe place. I feel like 20 people watching. And I'm not gonna trash the bar that I worked for. Long story short, they were not willing to agree to the safety standards that I felt my staff deserved. So I felt the only bargaining tool I had was my job. And as hard as I worked for that job, and 5 years there, but 15 years in the industry, I worked for that job to be a bar manager, to get to write menus. I quit that job because they refused to take care of the people that I worked with. And ultimately, that's the system that we kind of all agree to work in, is that your identity comes from your job. And that's been a huge part of my identity. But ultimately, like, that was my bargaining chip. And that's what I quit that job, because they wouldn't take care of my friends and my family the way that I felt right. And that was the one card I had to play, and played it. And they said, okay, thank you, goodbye. So,
I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of me too. Like, I don't regret it. I think I regret more of the times that I buckled to the people that I worked for. Like, that's harder. But, we're having this conversation about capitalism or whatever. It's like, I've always identified myself by what I do for a living and how that makes money. And I think that this time where so many of us have been jobless, and so many of us have had to exist without the thing that defines us, we've learned that maybe a job that makes money isn't the only thing you have to offer to society. Yes. So.
Yes. Absolutely. I think that we're in a position now that like people are in the position to rethink that because like people have the opportunity to work from home. And then people who don't have the opportunity to work from home are like, why am I risking my life for work right now? Yeah, I think like we're very much at a pivotal moment right now where we're really thinking about these things in terms of like, and I know, like for so long it was from one side, it was like, oh, like socialism is the same with communism and like this is bad. It's like whatever. And like when you look at the differences between like what people think of as socialism is actually fascism. And that's a lot more similar to what we are dealing with now. So,
No, I mean, we're at a point of change, and that change isn't always comfortable. But I'm appreciative, and I will say this: like, I'm appreciative that I have a position where I can take some time and figure out my next move, because I have things like this, like the other, still buffering. There's like the other podcast I do. I'm lucky that I have a little bit of like comfort built in, so I can make choices, and not everybody has that. But ultimately, nobody should have to put themselves in danger to exist, and that's where we are in America right now. Like, there's no way to exist without having so much of your life, your hours, your days spent working, and that maybe we've all been given that time, but like, I don't know, like,
yeah, exactly.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it real, but like,
no, we're there. We already said fuck capitalism, so like we're here. Disney's watching.
Yeah, sorry, Disney.
Don't say sorry, Disney.
I'm not sorry.
They're not sorry.
No.
Disney is spying on us right now, and they are not sorry.
Well, I don't. I just look there. I love the restaurant industry. I love creative-based industries. People want to work. I want to work. Everybody wants to go. Like, we all feel validated by jobs, but connecting that job to your entire existence, we're all so much more than that. Every one of you out there is so much more than that. And like, it's like I said, I don't regret a thing about quitting. I regret all the times that I didn't quit when other things happened where I was not financially secure enough to do that. So, like, there's that.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Sorry.
No, absolutely.
You're all being super nice in the comments.
Yeah,
it's okay. I'm fine.
Nice. And I will say, Lauren points out, if applicable, it's a good time to look for a new job, because if you can see what they actually did to help people during hard times, not just pretty words, actionable proof of good people. That is a good point, because now it's the best time to go to potential people, like potential companies or like people who are hiring, and say, okay, well, and you should always go into a job interview situation being like, well, I'm exactly what you need. What do you have to offer? And say, what did you do during this time? What have you done? How are you showing up for Black lives? How are you showing up for marginalized people? Like, how are you showing up for essential workers in COVID? Like, what are you doing? That is a very good point, because it's a very good time for transparency. So if you are applying for new jobs, make sure that you ask, because,
well, and that,
hey,
exactly, because that was, I will say this, like, my only job in going back to work was to come in on the days we were closed and prep the menu. So I would be safe. Me personally, I'd be safe. I'd be fine. But the safety measures they put in place for the coworkers that would be then serving the drinks that I would make were not safe. So to me, I would be silently signing off on a fucked up situation that I didn't agree with. And that's the thing. Like, it's not hard to not want to line those people's pockets. It's hard when that's what you have to do. And I totally respect people that do. That's why I'm like, I don't want anyone that knows where I work, no hate. If you want to go there, if you want to order from there, please do. Because the people that still have to work there, I love them, and they deserve everything in the world. I just hope that there is a future we can work towards where having a job that's lower income doesn't mean you have to take whatever you can get, because that is too much of what I've seen just in my limited aspects in the restaurant world, where you deal with whatever you can because you're a low income employee, and I'm sure so many other industries have that same situation
Mm-hmm.
where you don't get rights because you're paid minimum wage. Like, everybody deserves safety and protection.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of which, somebody asked about school openings. Liz, you teach.
Yeah, so yes, Emily asked about what we think about school openings, and do I know what New York is doing on that? I'm not actually sure, because New York is kind of in this place where it's like, this is what the federal thing is doing right now. We are trying to figure out what, like, even like as far as like unemployment, we're trying to figure out, like, is Congress going to extend it? Hope they do. But so because the federal position is that schools will reopen, and like Betsy DeVos did some kind of conference where it was like 2%, like 0.02%.
The devil just passed through me when you said her name. I'm usually okay with that. Go ahead.
0.02% of children will die. It's okay. And it's like, okay, so 0.02% of children is 147,000 children. Are we okay with 147,000 children dying? I'm not. And it's like, it's interesting because I'm not a public school teacher. I'm not like a normal 9-to-5 teacher. I'm a specialist. So I usually teach after school programs, or in some cases I teach as an extracurricular during the day. And I did have someone recently to ask me, like, oh, okay, well, when schools reopen, are you going to go back to school? And I said, no, I don't think so, because I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. Like, I come in contact with people who have been very careful and have been trying to stay healthy. And also, I just don't think it would be responsible for me to say, the way that I take this job as not only a educator of young people, but also a person that is in a position to be a role model to these young people, to say, like, to be back in schools. And I'm actually not sure what the after school extracurricular situation is going to be. But to be a person that these kids already know and already trust, and come back and say, yes, I am okay with this, feels very irresponsible to me. So I am making plans to do other things virtually or in other ways to be safe, because I don't feel like I can have the views that I have and also be a role model to children if I am in their school and in close contact with them and many, many other children. Because the way that I've heard school could work now is that half of the kids go for the first half of the day and half of the kids go for the second half of the day. And the one teacher is there for both of those sessions, so has contact with all of those children. And I will preface it with this, because I do not begrudge any teacher that has to go back.
Oh, of course, no, yeah.
Because they're doing what they have to do, and also, they for all they could feel a responsibility to their students that they already know to show up for them if those students have to go back, because there is a thing of more affluent children being able to have a lower number of children in their class, to have like for parents to get together and hire a private teacher. And there's obviously a lot of kids whose parents cannot do that.
Right.
So it's like, we're either going to have a huge amount of inequity in public education, or we're going to have a huge amount of disparity between exposure for children. So that's a really tough decision that I don't judge anyone making any decision around that, because it's actually not their responsibility. It's the government's responsibility to take care of you.
Well, but that gets to the core of it. I mean, here in America, at least, where if we'd had a countrywide shutdown that was full enforced and safe for a couple weeks, no one would be having to make these hard decisions. We created the situation we're in, where people are having to choose between their children getting an education or their children being safe, or not having the choice because they have to go back to work. Going back to work to make some money, but also then your children have to go to schools to put them in danger. Like, we're creating horrible, horrible decisions that middle income and lower income people have to make.
And no parent should have to make that decision.
And this is not, we're not functional that these are the decisions we have to make. We have so many blueprints from other countries that have done better work than we have, that it's just, yeah, we can talk to the semantics of it, but it's hard to let go of the idea that this never should have happened. I mean, like, I have 3 of my good friends have closed their bars, have admitted that they're not going to reopen, and they're like, just buddies. They've opened things in the neighborhood, like they've done the rest. That's not. They'll be fine. I'm not. But the thing is like, this is not. Nobody's giving a shit about those of us that are on the lower end. Let's just be real. That's where we're at, and I think that all we can do is try to take care of our communities and each other, because nobody up above is looking out for us.
Yeah, look into in your own community if there are mutual aid programs going on. Try to get a part of it. Try to get involved. If there is community programming going on, if is community activism, if there's like a lot of places in New York, I don't know if this is a thing. I hope this could be a thing across the United States, but in New York, at least like in the 5 boroughs, there are community fridges, so people can drop off produce if they have extra stuff, and like people can just come pick them up, clothing bins, things like that, where people can just like get like the help that they need. I hope that this becomes a thing across the United States. I hope that mutual aid becomes a thing that is commonplace, because, and I know that I think that that's something that is kind of been seen as like communism or whatever, like socialism in the past. And I feel like now is the time to really like take off some of those veils and be like, no, everyone's helping people, and also socialism isn't actually bad.
No, but let's be real. Like, the best way to solve this is, what if we had a month where everybody got a weekly dole that covered their expenses, so kids could stay home, parents could stay home, businesses didn't reopen because you shouldn't be reopening right now. I mean, our number here, we went through hell up here in New York, and our numbers creeping back up, and I'm like seeing things reopening, whatever. I'm like, every day our R0 goes up and up. It's like, I don't want to live through that again. I don't want to do that again. I don't know. Like, there were dead bodies in my park. Like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
But if we just had a functional country where everything just went on pause and everybody was paid appropriately so they could take care of their children, so businesses stay closed, everybody was told to stay inside, masks were enforced. Great. We're good. We do that. We isolate cases. We bring up everybody's R0 down. Like, that is what we could do. There's no mystery here. It's just that we don't want to do that. So all these people that are making these choices between going back to work, but then their kids have nobody to watch them, so their kids have to go to school and endanger them. So they're going to work and endangering themselves, and their kids are going to school, which is endangering them further. These choices are what we're left with because the people at the top didn't take care of us the way that they should have.
In the first place.
It's that simple. It's that simple. There was a good answer. We're being left to deal with the bullshit that is outside of that.
Right. And someone did bring up, Drew actually brought up the problem of like virtual school being inaccessible to people who are lower income. That is true. That's another problem that we would face, but it's also like that is a double-edged sword, because it's like either we should have the resources to get all of those children that don't have access to internet, don't have access to online resources, we should be able to get them those things so that they can stay home and stay safe. But that's where we're at. We don't have those resources, and we also don't, like, the government doesn't give a shit.
No.
So it is the whole, like, oh, the economy's reopening, things must be safe. No, it's still not safe. The economy's reopening because we don't want the economy to fail. The government doesn't give a shit about you. Okay, so that's that.
We know we're going to this is not usually where we go with it, but I don't fucking care. I'm happy that those of you that show up to hear us talk about drinks, thank you. And we'll always do that. Sometimes we're going to veer off into the real world because there's also part of us, just as much as we're talking about, like, hey, we're not commodities. We're not
Yeah, we can't.
commodities.
We
Sorry.
can't.
You can use us as commodities. We will make those edits for you always.
That's great. That's fine.
But right now we're just like, we're people that are living through this, and you were people that are living through this. And then I look at the comments, like, there's no good way. Like, those of you that are working in the medical field, like, that's a nightmare. I mean, I talk to Sydney all the time, and like, she's terrified of, like, if the West Virginia has no reason to go, like, has been safe, but because of the right precautions are being taken, there might be a day where Sydney can't go home to her family. And like, this is real. I don't care what the rhetoric is, the stupid posts on Facebook about hydroxy, whatever, fucking, and like your mask or whatever. Like, people are suffering. People are suffering. So why is the simplest answer not the best answer here? But it's become so political that nobody can agree on taking care of each other.
Yeah, and that is the core of it, is that just, humanity, we should take care of each other. I feel like everybody in this time could possibly agree with that idea, that humanity, we should take care of each other. But when it gets into these political ideologies, everything gets skewed because everything gets categorized into different ideologies, and we can't agree on what is the best, when really the best is humanity.
How is it a political issue?
For humanity.
It's like, okay, look, we all understand, who do you want to be in a zombie survival movie, right? I'm a horror movie fan. I think a lot of you all are. Like, nobody wants to be the goddamn bite hider. You don't want to hide the bite that ruins the haven of safety, right?
No,
it's that simple.
That's the worst
There's
character.
no politics there. There's no I don't care if you're right wing, left wing,
No.
Republican, Democrat.
The right
don't
thing
hide
to
a
do,
bite.
if you have a bite, you should go off on your own and be heroic.
Yeah, right. Like,
in the movie version, like, that's what
you
do.
think
Like,
you're the person to be like, I've been bitten, I'll take a shot to the head, like, get me out of. No, not if you're the one that's like, my liberties are at danger. You're a bite hider.
I deserve the right to hide my bite and infect other people. No.
The right to hide my bite is a great. I love that as like a terrifying 6-year-old slogan, but that's the case. Like, there's no politics in this. It's a disease. Do you think COVID-19 has a political affiliation? It doesn't. It wants all of us to just be vectors of spreading itself. It doesn't want us all to die. There's no morality with viruses. It literally just wants us all to be vectors of spreading itself.
Yeah, no. That's the thing.
Yeah. Like,
viruses don't want us to die. That's also a fun science fact, that viruses actually don't want us to die. They want us to spread the virus to other people.
Yes. So if you're pro COVID, I guess that's the only political divide we have. Are you pro COVID or are you anti COVID? That's the only political divide we have right now. Are you team COVID or are you team not COVID? That's it. That's the only political divide we have right now.
There are people who don't believe that COVID exists.
Well, there are also people that think it's from demons steaming.
No, that's what I'm saying. I have met those people. I've talked to those people. They're here. They believe that thing.
I am way more comfortable with demon spawn than I am with somebody that won't wear a mask. So I don't,
Right. I mean, except for like when like the demon spawn turns into like, well, I don't have demons within me, so I'm not going to wear a mask.
It's just
Anyway.
Just be the zombie survival hero that you envisioned yourself to be.
Model yourself after the zombie survival hero and act accordingly, because that's where we are. That is where we are. It's where we are.
So don't like, it's, I don't know.
Bite hider.
Bite hiders. That's what they are. That's what so many of my friends, so many people that I loved and cared about before this, and I still love and care about you, but y'all, I see your Instagram pictures. I see what you're doing. You're having your dinner parties and you're traveling and you're doing all this stuff, and I'm just like,
on patios.
You would be the person that hides a bite. Like, that's not political. There's no politics there. It's really just survival.
It's very scary, I think, living in the United States right now, because in a lot of other countries, we're seeing them get it under control, at least for a time, and then like maybe it gets out of control, but then they get it under control. I feel like the thing that's very scary about living in the United States is that we don't have a conformed idea of what we should do, because the federal government has basically said, and this administration has said, states should be able to decide what they do. And so in that case, like, we have differing opinions from state to state, and then that carries over to, if you are in this state, then when you enter this state, you have to quarantine, or you don't have to quarantine because you're coming into this state, and we don't give a fuck. Like,
can I ask about state rights? Where, okay, cool, that's the reason that we don't have a cross-country quarantine, but we can kidnap people in vans in Portland because that seems like a bigger risk to our national security.
Oh, it's here too.
So
they started kidnapping people here.
So federal presence is okay in terms of protesters holding up signs we don't like, but people spreading disease, we don't want federal interaction on that. That's the thing. Like, I have blue hair. I love my freedoms, but like, seriously, we're more okay with unmarked vans kidnapping people off the streets than we are having a cross-country agreement on a mask like edict or an agreement on how we operate so we can squash this disease.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I don't, at least stick to your fucking guns. If you're gonna say states' rights, fine. But then if you're gonna invade a state with federal secret police, then you don't believe in states' rights. You just believe in states' rights when they're convenient for you.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that's a good time to say, I mean, I feel like maybe we should say this now that we are recording a podcast in quarantine, maybe we should just say this more often, because I think like there are other people who listen to our podcast who are outside of the United States and might not know what's going on. There are federal agents in unmarked vans aided by local police, literally kidnapping people. So hey, this is a live stream and we're just saying whatever we want.
I don't.
So
it's not that I don't care. It's that I respect our audience, and I think, like,
I just want you to know this is what's going on. If you didn't know that this is going on,
we're baby stepping towards fascism in America, and
we are. So I mean, and okay. There might be also, like, to preface this, because there might be a lot of rhetoric on the internet of like what Antifa is. We are anti-fascist. We don't like fascism.
Yeah.
If you know what fascism is, we are not in favor. We are not in favor of fascism. We don't like it. We don't think it's good. We think it's bad. It is weird that that's a thing.
We have to say that we're not. But I don't know, Liz. You just called us both Antifa on a live stream.
No.
So when the little band comes and picks us up tomorrow, you guys, I don't know.
Hey, you know what's going on.
But literally being anti-fascist is controversial.
How is that controversial?
This is the world we're living in.
Do you like fascism? Don't listen to our podcast.
No, here's the thing. We aim to provide you with a podcast and live streams that are about hanging out, having a good time, drinking, looking at culture, looking at history. That's always what we're gonna do. But even when we get into the culture of this, like there's a lot of stuff that we're not afraid to cover about colonialism, imperialism, racism. There's a lot of that in the alcohol history. We're always going to cover that.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what we do, but this is an extension of that. Actually, I don't want to even like play the game of like, oh, if you like us for the drinks, that's great. This is an extension of what we do, because you can't actually know all of alcohol history without looking at the areas of it that are deeply racist, that are deeply problematic, that are deeply colonialist, that are imperialist. Like there's a lot of that in this, and it's okay. Like it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to get out there, but like at this moment in history, it would be so disingenuous for us to have a podcast that's based around the profits of alcohol and not look at the hardships that have existed in the world. So there's a part where I was like, maybe we're getting way off track. I'm like, no, this is actually on track.
Yes, because like the industry of alcohol directly relates to capitalism, directly relates to all of the working class people who serve capitalism, but would actually benefit more from other forms of isms, you know?
And that's the thing. Like I don't, ultimately, I want us all to get to a place where we can just focus on the fun, silly shit that is the ephemera of bartending. Like that's what I love, because I think this is when humanity's at our best. We're at our best when we're making things to be enjoyed by other people. That's what I love about food culture. That's what I love about drink culture. And I'm so fucking mad that that's not where we're at right now. I'm so mad that we can't think about that right now. That we're so far from just being able to look at other people and go like, shit, what good food do you make? I'm going to give you some good stuff and you give me some good stuff and we're going to learn. Because that's what we should do as a world culture.
Right.
We should just be amazed at the cool shit that we can all make and enjoy together. But we're so far from that.
Yeah.
And this, what's going on in America, it's like, I can't leave. I am a traveler at heart. Like that's the only way I deal with living anywhere is being able to leave. And that's not a sob story. Like I'm fine. Like that's okay. But like, if this is what my country wants us all to just be like nationalist idiots that just live inside America and think corn dogs are great. Hail America. Like I don't want to. That's the worst. There's so much good shit. If you listen to this podcast, if you listen to most of the good shit that we have bourbon and we're fucking great at that. But most everything else is outside of us.
Yeah, no, we're like wake up call. If you haven't heard this before, we are a country full of immigrants.
Most of the reason we have good shit in America, I mean, all of the reasons is because of immigrants.
Other people bringing in the shit.
The only reason that wouldn't be true is because indigenous cultures have amazing like things to offer. We just squash that so it's not a big enough part of our culture. That's it. Most of our drinking culture comes from everywhere else. You can't be a fan of food or alcohol without being a fan of the world at large.
No, you can't.
Woo! Woo!
Well, no. Yes, thank you. Thank you, though. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's check in with everybody talking here, and I'm gonna stop yelling.
No, that was great. Yes. Okay. If y'all are in favor of us talking about modern stuff, modern events, current events, great. We love that you support us. Thank you, because we actually can't stop talking about it because it's relevant to our lives right now, and we kind of check in with our own selves every week when we address you. So we're very excited and grateful that you are here to be able and have the capacity to take in our own personal hardships and also the hardships of the world at large that we would like to talk about and express to you, because we have a platform and we recognize that, and we want to, like, as little or big as it could be, we want to use it to talk to you and converse with like-minded people, and even expand the minds of people who might be almost like-minded or not so like-minded. Maybe our hope is that maybe we can entice those that have the interest in booze and then expand their minds a little bit, and expand our minds in the process, because every time we research something, we are expanding our minds. We are learning new things, and that's a beautiful thing. And that's where I always want to be, in the state of learning. Yeah.
No, I agree. Thank you for saying that. You're absolutely right. Like, we're only enriched by understanding the full history of any subject that we're interested in. And, that's booze history, that's world history, that's American history.
Exactly, because booze history is the history of civilization.
It is. Literally, we've talked about it. I think we talked about this in our first episode, that there are arguments that say the reason we settled as a populace, as like a creature, was because we wanted to be able to cultivate farms to create alcohol. Like, there are arguments that the original social contract was based around the desire to create crops that we could make something we could drink out of. So the reason we came together is maybe over a good drink. And I think that can never get out of our sights as far as historians, alcohol historians, I guess. We are, the people in our field. Like, we can't lose that. This is not about separating people over economic barriers, over race barriers, over class barriers. This is literally the thing that maybe as a species made us come together. We can never forget that. And I think when we do, we don't deserve a good fucking drink.
Hey. Hello. Okay. Well,
all right.
It's been almost 2 hours with y'all, and we love you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for being here, and thank you for conversing with us. Thank you for chatting with us over the internet, and we always love it. We will not have a live stream next week, but
we're taking a little break. I hope that's okay.
Yes, we're taking a week off, but we're going to give you a couple videos. If you're on the Patreon, those videos will be ready early for you. And I actually feel like from a lot of the people that we've looked at on this chat, a lot of you are on our Patreon. But if you want to see those videos and you haven't already joined your Patreon, you can join for $1 and you can see those videos for this month if you want to. And if you're in a bind and you need to cancel after that, totally cool, totally okay, we get it. But those videos will be ready on our Patreon as early access, and then later they'll be available on our YouTube.
They're gonna be fun and easy.
Absolutely.
Easy fun drinks. Not quite Tiki level.
Not Tiki level.
Exactly.
Completely different kinds of summer drinks for you. But thank you so much for tuning in with us. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have been Taylor Smurl.
And I have been Liz June.
And this has been
Neat. That's the show that we put on for you.
Thank you all so much.
Yes. I actually am going to say end.
Okay.
Oh, yes.